Welcome to the instruction video of TKE's newly developed Instrumentation Feedthrough. First we will have a look at the feed-through in general. Then I am talking you through the assembling and disassembling processes. The Instrumentation Feedthrough is delivered in a custom-made case. It contains all necessary parts of the fitting, the extraction tool and 10 pieces of sealing inserts. They can also be bought separately if any more of them are needed. The new TKE feed-through was developed to provide a pressure-tight and thermally stable interface between a flange and a thermocouple. It is particularly suitable for thermocouples with plugs, as the wires are inserted into the sealing elements from the side. The clear width of the fitting allows the plugs to pass through. The feed-through is not intended for use with live wires though, as the sealing elements are not electrically insulating. Up to 14 wires with a max diameter of 2 mm can be accommodated by the fitting. Even if not a single wire is fed through, it will provide a reliable seal up to 40 bar at a max temperature of 500 degrees Celsius. The temperature-resistant connection between the fitting and the wires is achieved by deforming sealing inserts within the fitting. The required tightening torque depends on the size of the feed-through and is specified in the package insert. The feed-through is available in two different designs. For installation in a normal threaded hole, there are versions for ISO pipe threads and NPT threads in the sizes 1, 1/2 and 3/4 inch. The other type of feed-through was developed for direct installation in the pressure vessel. For this purpose, a specific multi-stage bore must be made in the pressure vessel, depending on the size of the feed-through used. The fitting has been developed in accordance with the applicable pressure equipment directive and therefore meets all relevant requirements. Patent pending. Now let's have a look at the assembly sequence. First, the main body of the feed-through must be mounted to the flange. Put some grease on the threaded part of the main body before screwing it into the flange and don't forget the sealing ring. The thermocouples can then be led through the flange and also through the main body of the TKE feed-through. There is space for a maximum of 14 thermocouples per feed-through. If fewer thermocouples are installed, the remaining slots can simply be left open. No additional measures are necessary. Empty slots are also sealed pressure tight once the nut is tightened. After the thermocouples have been passed through the main body of the feed-through, the center bolt can be placed as shown in the video. Make sure that each thermocouple is placed within a slot of the center bolt. A temporary fixation is now placed around the center bolt to prevent the thermocouples from falling out of their slots. This temporary fixation can be realized with a wire or cable tie and will be removed before the assembly is finished. The assembly is continued with the installation of the first washer. This washer, like all subsequent components, must first be threaded over the plug end onto the thermocouples. Make sure that the washer rests on the face of the centering bolt. Now the sealing core can be placed. For this purpose, the thermocouple bundle is carefully widened, allowing the sealing core to fit in its center. Again, make sure that all thermocouples are sitting in a slot of the sealing core. Align the sealing core concentrically and then push it onto the central bolt until it touches the first washer. Then the sealing sleeve can be pushed over the sealing core, followed by the second washer as shown in the video. Once again the thermocouple bundle is carefully expanded. This time the follower part is mounted in its center. As before, Make sure that all thermocouples are seated in a slot of the follower part before sliding it over the centering bolt. At this stage, the temporary fixation on the centering bolt can be removed. Then push the assembled components together with the thermocouples into the main body of the feed-through. Next, the twist lock ring is installed. Make sure that the lugs on the twist lock ring fit into the grooves of the main body. Otherwise the ring won't fit and the nut cannot be tightened. The slider part is now added to the assembly. Simply push it over the thermocouple bundle until it touches the twist lock ring. Before adding the nut, apply some grease to the thread of the main body as well as to the slider. Make sure that the grease used is suitable for the temperatures occurring in your application. Finally, the nut can be mounted. Tighten the nut as specified on the package insert to avoid excessive deformation of the sealing elements. The next step is the disassembly process. Basically, the same steps as before are now carried out in reverse order. Start the disassembly by loosening and removing the nut. Then the thermocouple bundle must be carefully loosened to make room for the extraction tool. The extraction tool consists of 3 individual parts and must be put together before use. For this purpose, slide the striker over the shaft. Then screw the end cap onto the shaft. Before use, make sure that the locking ring sits in its groove on the other end of the shaft. The extraction tool can now be screwed into the center bolt of the TKE feed-through. The internal components of the feed-through can then be pulled out by using the extraction tool as shown in the video. Be careful not to damage the thermocouples in that process. Once the internal components are exposed, the extraction tool can be unscrewed from the center bolt, disassembled and put back into the case. The inner components of the feed-through can now be disassembled. To do this, pull off the slider, the twist lock ring, the follower and the washer individually and thread them off the thermocouple bundle. To remove the sealing sleeve, take a knife and carefully cut through the sleeve as shown. The sealing sleeve as well as the sealing core cannot be reused. For any reassembly of the feed-through, new sealing inserts must be used. Is the sealing sleeve removed, the washer can be taken off. The next step is to take the center bolt out of the thermocouple bundle. The center bolt will still contain the remains of the sealing core. Take off the sealing core and ensure that no residues remain on the part before reassembling it. The disassembly is finished and the parts are now ready to be inspected, cleaned if necessary and then reassembled as described before. Thank you for your interest in the products of TKE. For further information, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are also happy to discuss customer-specific adaptations to the shown feed-through with you. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you and goodbye. Tresch and Kieliger, think, know, execute.